Right. The other thing is that St. Matthew's Gospel predates all the other Gospel, doesn't it?
That's on the Augustinian view,
Yes.
which I hold to because that's the traditional Catholic view.
Yes.
But the contemporary view is that Mark's is the first Gospel.
Yes, but that was there was a Benedictine monk there in Ealing Abbey, whose name was Orchard.
Oh yes, Dom
Orchard.
Benedict Orchard, was it?
Benedict, yeah.
Yes. And in his single volume, which he edited back in the 1940s, the Catholic Commentary on Holy Scripture, that's what it's called. There's a later edition in 1968 with different, often different authors, but Dom Benedict Orchard's 1945 or thereabout, 46 one, that where he puts his view that it's Matthew wrote first, which is consistent with the traditional Catholic view.
Consistent.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because always you find Matthew as the first whenever you see the volumes of the New Testament. It
Yes.
starts with Matthew consistently.
Yes.
And ties up perhaps with this other versions.
Yes, this is why I was thinking maybe if you have an original Matthew, but now that's lost, and then Mark writes later on, and then Matthew revisits his gospel, writes it for the Greeks in the Greek tongue, because he's now on mission, so he's amongst Greek-speaking people. That might account for the view that his gospel, now amplified and translated maybe, is the second one, but actually in its essence, in most of its points, it's the first one. Just a thought. I've no evidence for this at all.
No.
But in the absence of any of that anyway, I go with the traditional view that Matthew wrote first, because there's reason to believe he did anyway. And so, although you can argue either way, I go with the tradition.
It was not easy for me to take this point because it was against the prevalent opinion that Mark was the oldest one. But I remember I still managed to visit the Abbey, Ealing Abbey,
Oh, yes.
when Dom Orchard was still alive.
Really?
I was in the presence of some other monk, and he was sitting in the armchair, and there was a discussion between this other monk and himself, and I was the witness because I brought that other monk as my friend. And he was so confident. I see him not arguing in any, not violent, in any sort of persistent way, but confident within himself and relaxedly speaking about Matthew being the oldest.
And when would this have been? When was that?
Yeah, that could have been while time passes so quickly. Don't we know that they did some
30 years ago?
30 years ago.
That's interesting. So even in the 1990s, he was still holding the position that set out in his 1946 or 48 Catholic Commentary on Holy Scripture. That's fascinating.
Yes.
That he made, because obviously from that time on, when you get to the 1968 Catholic Commentary on Holy Scripture, they now, I think, saying that Mark was written first. Not him though. He's not writing the article on the synoptic problem, as they call it. So it's very interesting to know that despite the change in fashion as to who wrote first, he maintained his position into our modern time.
So he features in Encyclopedia Britannica as a separate opinion as to the dating of the Gospels.
Right.
Quite apart.
Does he date them early? Is that why?
What I remember of it is just that the common agreement is that Mark is the oldest one, but here Dom Orchard maintains the view that it is not.
Okay, yes.
Yes. And there is some explanation. I've forgotten what it is like.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, that's good.